McCray has it tipped and intercepted. Taken away by LSU. Micah Baskerville all the way in. Nussmeier with the rollout. Pressured. And he flicks it forward into the interception. And this is going to be a pick six if McCray can hold on to his lead. And that's how the shutout will go away. Benny McCray takes it 94 yards.
Hello and welcome into Tigers Roar. I am Jonathan Poche, as always, joined by the Bud Man, Buddy Songy, here from Old School Barbecue, 10655 Corsi Boulevard. Great place to come get some good barbecue, maybe watch the show. You see in the opening clip, we have highlights from both LSU and Southern. In case you've been under a rock the last, 2 months, it was an historic weekend for the Baton Rouge. Both universities for the first time played each other in Tiger Stadium. You got to give a shout out to Coach Roman Banks, the athletic director over there at Southern, the whole department, Coach Eric Dooley and all their fans, the great band, the Human Jukebox. It was a spectacle, Bud, man. 200,000 estimated on the campus of LSU. A great game for the Tigers after that opening week stumble out the blocks, losing by 1 point to Florida State. They had to rebuild some confidence. And it started with the opening kickoff, Bud, man. LSU got the ball back, and it was really just off to the races from there. A great game to really build some confidence heading into SEC play because, of course, Mike Leach, the old Pirate, brings the Bulldogs into Tiger Stadium this weekend. LSU will face the Bulldogs in Mississippi State, 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Catch that game on ESPN if you're not going to the stadium. Bringing in the Bud, man. Want to get your first impressions. I know you're kind of playing injured today, playing a little under the weather.
Well,
we certainly appreciate it.
We've had a little congestion like many people in Baton Rouge. Flu is going around. Obviously, stay hydrated. It is nice to get a break from the rain. This is what all these new coaches, this is what we usually expect this time of year. How about a little chill and 65-ish in the morning temps? Look, there are so many great things to talk about. I'm not going to put a damper on the show today, but it was one big cluster frick getting in and out of LSU. Now, I know this is historic, and this will never happen again in my lifetime. Might happen again in yours, but that all being said, rave reviews. Other than Nuss and the pick six and the way he played at the end and LSU game day management, quite frankly, they've got to do better. The last thing you want is people not wanting to go out to Tiger Stadium because it is a hassle and a pain in the butt. And so they've got to get their act together and get people in and out of there. SEC time, so everybody needs to step up. Saw a lot of good things, but still a lot of questions to be answered. Yeah. And it starts this weekend. And right out of the gate, you got to challenge the fan base because we know this is a world of instant gratification, right? Well, you better bring your cheer and your lunch pail because Mississippi State's going to throw it about 60 times.
That's right. Saturday
afternoon and Saturday night, and LSU's got to figure out a way to get off the field on third down, score inside the red zone, win this football game with special teams and all the things. And so I thought they made some progress, but a lot of things still to accomplish. And really, JP, this is a big one. You win this game, you go to 2-1, you beat New Mexico 3-1. Then you travel to Auburn, which you never know what you're going to get. They play Penn State this weekend. So monumental game to give us a little bit of the momentum of the 2022 season.
It was also NFL Week 1 this past weekend. It started Thursday night, the Bills and the Rams. It continued on until the weekend. Of course, your New Orleans Saints took on the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta, came away with the win. Somehow, my dad always said growing up, man, winners find a way to win and losers find a way to lose. I'm not calling the Atlanta Falcons a bunch of losers, but if their shoe fits, kick a field goal with it, right? I mean, tough week for the NFL kickers, not for Cade York. He hits a 58-yard banger to win it for the Browns. We'll talk some NFL, some Week 1 stuff. We also have Mike Scarborough from TireBait.com. He'll join us a little bit later on in this show. Talk about this past weekend with Florida State, but also, with Southern, but also looking forward to that Mississippi State game. Coach Brian Kelly been in it for a long time, in the game a long time. So is Coach Mike Leach. They've never squared off as head coaches. They do know each other fairly well. They have a good relationship, a lot of respect between the two, but it's going to be the first time they match up. So looking forward to a lot of offense and hopefully some good Tiger defense this upcoming weekend in Tiger Stadium. Before we take our first break of the afternoon, we're going to remind you guys, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. While you're there, go ahead and click the like button, subscribe, and the bell so you get notified every time we post something new here at the Pelican. Pelican. All your Tigers Roars are there for your archive convenience. Also, the Clarence Bugg Show, Rocket Right, the Roger Kadar Show, a whole lot more is on our YouTube page. So go ahead and check it out, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. Don't go anywhere. We have to take our first break of the afternoon. We come back, we'll talk about some game tape from this past weekend, LSU Southern. Don't go anywhere. You are watching Tigers Roar.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
The Team Automotive Group, we're offering you the Team Guarantee on new and used vehicles. Included with every new vehicle is a lifetime limited powertrain warranty. And now, get a 90-day warranty on the purchase of a pre-owned vehicle. Get the Team Guarantee at every location of the Team Automotive Group.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
Continue here on Tigers Roar. I'm Jonathan Poche, joined by the Bud Man, Buddy Songy, here from Old School Barbecue. Talking some LSU football. Scored off against Southern Jaguars this past weekend. 65-17 was the final score. It took the Jaguars a long time to get on a scoreboard, Bud Man. You saw the pick six in the intro of the show. Nussmeier, not a great decision, running towards the sidelines. I want to start With the offensive line, though, Coach Brian Kelly did switch up some things, a new center in the game to start the game. And really, I know it was Southern, I know it was the Jaguars, another caliber of opponent, not in the same league as SEC opponents, but I thought that the improvement on the offensive line, now they always say the biggest improvement in the season between the first game and the second game, a lot of problem areas that I saw against Florida State seemed to be kind of reassured against Southern. But again, you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt playing the Jaguars.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Charles Turner moved in at center. Garrett Dellinger, who was centering in the Florida State game, moved over to left guard. Will Campbell is getting better. Mm-hmm. And we know that when you're a true freshman and playing left tackle, you have to take your lumps before you are a skilled, consistent offensive line and technician, and I think he'll get there in due time. Anthony Bradford actually graded out with the PFF O-line grades very high. Miles Frazier did not have a great night on the grades. He was at right tackle. Bradford was at right guard. Emory Jones came in and played some right tackle, and he lit it up and pancaked the guy. Took a guy about 10 yards and pancaked him in the end zone. But, JP, now you got the big boys, and I'm a little concerned that LSU just doesn't have enough studs at the line of scrimmage, both offensively and defensively. We're going to find out this weekend. You talk about the three captains on defense, B.J. Ojulari, Ali Gay, and Mike Jones Jr. Those guys have got to assert themselves and play better. But back to the O-line, relatively good job, but once again, the competition and the talent that you're blocking. So still getting on the same page. Did not have any faux pas with center snaps, and it got out of hand because Jaden Daniels led them down to 8 consecutive scores, including 37 points in the first quarter, which was an LSU record. Look, they got the turnovers. They forced some of the turnovers with some of the defense, but I think that you got to establish your run game. Yep. And you can't have Jaden Daniels being your leading rusher all game long. Now, John Emery is back, but please, LSU fans, realize this has been a year plus since he's played. If we could snap our fingers and make John Emery perform Saturday the way he did against Bama in 2020, everybody would love it, and life would be good. Yep. But he has been rusty. If you remember, he got tweaked with an ankle in the spring. He wanted to play in the spring game, came back, got in shape. And then, of course, as we know, the 2-game suspension. So he's back. Armani Goodwin, I think, is your X factor. He can do some things. They got to get him the ball with the little flares and the screens. And, of course, Noah Cain and Josh Williams. But, look, got to establish your run, got to protect Jaden Daniels. And I want to see Mike Denbrock and Brian Kelly open it up with a little bit more. Right now they're serving up some vanilla. I want to see some bubbles, some screens, some deep balls, put pressure on Mississippi State's defense. And by the way, they've got a pretty solid front four.
We do have some highlights from this past weekend. LSU Southern will ask AT in the truck, driving the bus by himself, doing a great job. Go ahead and run those highlights, AT, and we'll start the conversation. Look, Bud, man, we all know against Florida State, LSU came out really slow, really sluggish, didn't have a lot of fire. So it was important that Coach Brian Kelly's team started off fast. And here's the opening kickoff of the game, and boom, it starts off with a turnover. That's the start Coach Brian Kelly wanted. Yeah, no doubt about it. Big hit right there. They get the fumble. And look, folks, I know a lot of you were late getting into the stadium, but this is going to be imperative again this weekend. Start fast with a great takeaway. It's good to see some positive things with special teams, and special teams really plagued the team against Florida State. Here's Jaden Daniels, so dynamic with his feet, gets to the outside, gets to that pylon, scores the first time in the Tigers. They break the seal right there, and then 7-0 quick. 13:25 left in the first quarter. First rushing touchdown for Jaden Daniels. I know that he had to be enamored with playing in Tiger Stadium for the first time, as well as all the new coaches. And here's Armani Goodwin, his first carry of the night. Thought it was a pretty good stiff arm. This is where you kind of saw Will Campbell, boom, get out the way, little man. Excuse me, the big guy's coming through. 66 didn't even see him, but knocked him over. Many years ago, I don't know if you remember this, but Alan Faneca led Herb Tyler all the way down. Alan Faneca's a Hall of Famer, Ward 66. Will Campbell will learn, and of course here is Josh Williams scoring his first LSU touchdown as a Tiger Saturday night. Defense got the ball back for the Tigers, now 14-0. Here's some getting number 7 involved early. A lot of people, that took a little pressure off. Get him the ball early and often. Let him do his thing outside, number 7. I thought, his post-game interview said a lot about his situation with the team. He's not going anywhere. He's a Tiger. He kind of went through a tough time after that Florida State game, but that's in his past. He's ready to move forward to SEC play.
Whether you like the diva Kayshon Boutte, you got to realize LSU needs him, and he needs LSU. And once again, that is where Jaden Daniels did go through his progression of reads. Jack Bech never drops it.
People don't understand how hard it really is to roll out to the left and make an accurate throw as right-handed quarterback, but that was amazing. Jack Bech's touchdown. Here's the pick six, Micah Baskerville. Great game by 23 against the Southern Jaguars.
Block pass. Baskerville, of course, is going to play more inside, and that was a real highlight for him. Anytime you score on defense, you got to be happy.
Here's the ball on the ground again for the Jaguars, picked up. LSU was fortunate to get that turnover right there, but really that's all the Jaguars. Got to sure up that handoff right there, moving into swag play later on in the season.
Desmond Little wearing number 8, undersized DN, had a good game. Savion Jones played well. I want to see more of that right there. The little delay slant to Neighbors as well as Kayshon Boutte this weekend.
Good to see Neighbors get a touchdown. He had a first week one. He's going to bounce back. That kid has game-breaking ability. I want to see him get the ball more for the Tigers.
Yeah, of course, as we know, in this first quarter, LSU just made all of the plays, and there you finally get pressure. But JP, very alarming after only 2 games, 6.5 tackles for losses and only 3 sacks.
Yep.
They've got to do better Saturday night.
That was Savion Jones, one of the guys that were thrust into duty because we were limiting Ali Gay and BJ Ojolari in the first half of this game. Here should have been a touchdown, a great block punt. Should have been, kind of reminded that Alex Anzalone played for the Saints years back. Should have been a touchdown, but still, Tigers get the ball back. And here's a beautiful throw. A little bit under, but great arch, open man downfield. Got in the end zone, Brian Thomas Jr.
11 has a chance to be special. Everybody compares him favorably to Terrace Marshall. He's going to get opportunities. Back to the earlier comment, Evan Francione, the walk-on, 88 touchdown. All he has to do is pick it up and get in 10 yards, and a freak football fumbled it away.
That's right. Here's Nussmeier in the game, trying to make something happen. Coach Brian Kelly kind of talked about in the press conference, when you're the quarterback number 2 and the quarterback number 1 has just led 8 straight touchdown drives. You're trying to press a little bit. You want to be on the field, make something happen right there. You got to be smarter than that with football, Nussmeier. They had a conversation after the game, and he will value the ball more moving forward. I have faith.
Yeah, Nuss doesn't like being called a gunslinger, but once again, this was a great play. Once again, here we go with a big catch and run, but Nuss has got to protect the football. He's not going to see much action if he continues to have 2 INTs and limited action.
That's right. There's 13 right there, trying to get a first down, and does, gets the drive moving. This is right before halftime. Tigers did a pretty good job of working the clock with their backup quarterback. Look, Nussmeier's got a lot of arm talent, but he's got to value the ball more. We know this. But if you can pound the rock just like that behind a good offensive line, that helps any offense out.
And this is going to be interesting. Of course, there's Armani Goodwin getting in the end zone. But JP right up the A gap. Is LSU going to be able to run between the tackles? More importantly, will they be able to stop Mississippi State? They've got 2 scrappy running backs that know how to get low pad level and run hard.
Ali Gay missed the first half because of that targeting call in the second half of the FSU game, but he made his presence immediately felt in the second half, causing that fumble. LSU gets the ball back down. Nussmeier rolls to the right. This is questionable, bud, man.
When you are that close, first of all, you never make that kind of play inside the red zone. You're costing your team a minimum of 3 points. But it's just one of those things that he's got to get over. He cannot panic and have that kind of anxiety when he should have just taken the hit and fall down.
That pick 6 by Southern was Benny McCray, the brother of Bishawn McCray. God gave him a gift right there. Pick 6 at LSU Stadium. He said it was a dream come true. LSU now 58-7. They pounded in again, running right up the middle. Amani Goodwin, one of his touchdowns on the day. And look, LSU needs to be able to establish a run next week against Mississippi State, or this week against Mississippi State, not only for their sake, but to help that defense. I mean, you're going against a team that throws the ball 60 times a game. You got to be able to establish your possessions and milk your clock as well.
This is what you saw in the second half, is the rebuild that LSU is right now. JP, they've got decent talent in their ones and maybe in some position twos, but when you get back in the back end and you're playing a lot of guys, you saw a lot of guys are going to have to step up very quickly when you're trying to play that many people, and we'll see if they can get better. Obviously, experience helps you.
This is Luke Jackson, the kicker for Southern, to round out the game. 65-17 was the final. Again, we know we played the Southern Jaguars the first time in the history of Baton Rouge, a SWAC team that's going to do pretty good in the SWAC under Coach Eric Dooley. His first year at Southern. Look, it is what it is. This should have been game one, in my opinion, the tune-up game for Florida State. That would have been a great way to start off the season. All the pageantry, the bands play together. Huge tip of the hat before I forget any longer. You know the first song that the Human Jukebox played was when they got at Tiger Stadium?
Neck.
They knew the deal. I mean, they knew the deal. They got the crowd going. It was absolutely a great experience for anybody who got to go. Happy that the Jaguars made a payday out of it. Good for the city of Baton Rouge. You got to be happy there was no big stories. Of course, there's going to be some very rabid fans who had too many cold pops before the game that kind of get into some screaming matches. That's going to happen, every game across America. But nothing really serious. It was not an exhibition game, but it was all love. Singing Kumbaya, right, Bud, man?
I thought you young guys said cab, cold alcoholic beverage. But look, there were libations, there were tailgating. Obviously, frustration getting in and out, but the fact that LSU was able to pull this off with Southern and have the unity for the city, the Dancing Dolls, the Golden Girls, the Human Jukebox, the Golden Band from Tigerland, all the things, and to get together at halftime in Tiger Stadium, that's something that a lot of people. Oh, by the way, if you watched it on the ESPN app, they didn't do it justice. Mike Scarborough will let him promote it, but he filmed it and really got some good quality. I don't know if you saw it on his site.
Yeah. No, Mike Scarborough always has great stuff on his YouTube page, Tigers on TigerBait.com. Check that out on YouTube. Give him a follow as well. We'll talk to Mike a little bit later on in this program. We come back, we'll hear from head coach Brian Kelly. His press conference was yesterday, Monday, as we tape here on September 13th, Tuesday night at Old School Barbecue. Come check it out. Great food, great libations, TVs everywhere. You won't miss a sport. Come check out Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Come back and join us after this break. You are watching Tigers Roar.
Creel Tree Service is a licensed and insured tree service providing tree and stump removal, topping, trimming, cabling, pruning, and fertilizing. We have free stump removal with takedowns, free estimates, affordable rates, and senior citizens discounts. Call 774-TREE. That's 774-8733. Get your yard ready for the warmer weather. If it deals with a tree, call me, Creel Tree Service, 774-8733. That's 774-TREE.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
The Mazda CX-50. Confident on- and off-road performance and intelligently designed utility inside and out.
The all-new Mazda CX-50 has arrived and is on sale right now at Team Mazda on Airline.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
And we continue on Tigers Roar. Buddy Songy, Jonathan Poche here to talk some LSU football, that is. Southern came to LSU last weekend. Tigers put up 65 points in the victory. Coach Brian Kelly thought that a lot of things were positive, but he understands that wasn't an SEC caliber team. Mississippi State comes to Tiger Stadium this weekend. Coach Mike Leach, that air raid offense, that 3-3-5 defense, there's some problematic possibilities there for the Tigers, and Coach Brian understands that all too well. But, man, I don't know how you feel about the game, but Coach Brian Kelly said this air raid offense is kind of like defending the triple option. You got to do your job. If you're not doing your job, you're going to get exposed. And do you think that the Tigers secondary is up for this 60 pass attempts in the game?
Interesting when you look at the defense Bo Pelini tried to play in 2020, and they lit that up for 623 yards with a kid by the name of Costello, who only lasted about 3 games as a starter at Mississippi State. Now, as we know, Will Rogers is the real deal, and he is a very, very good quarterback. Last year, if you remember, I almost said Curly, but you caught that? Backed everybody out and rushed 3 and let them throw in space, and LSU came up and tackled. Matt House is going to have his hands full on trying to figure out what he can do. You can't really press and play too much man-to-man and get pressure. Look, we've already talked about it. 3 sacks after 2 games, so LSU's not putting great pressure on the quarterback, but wrapping up, tackling in space, winning the line of scrimmage. And let's be honest. Let's call it the way it is. Captain's got to bring it this week.
Yep.
6, 11, and 18, you got to lead your defense. And what does that mean? That means pressure, making him uncomfortable, making him throwing it before he wants to, and then disguising and letting him throw it into double coverage and getting a pick or 2. LSU, not many INTs this year. They did do a good job with fumble recoveries. But, JP, look, I'm hoping LSU can win this game late, but they have got to improve, and I'm hoping that Coach Kelly and his staff will come up with better game plans than LSU's had in the last 2 years against Mississippi State.
And look, Coach Brian Kelly completely understands you cannot have the same front every single time you try to defend the air raid. You have to change up your looks. You can't guard with man the whole game. You can't do zone the whole game. You have to change things up, and you have to tackle well. Because just like that triple option, they can run it better than you can defend it after preparing for 3 days. That's just the way it works.
Look, I called out those 3 captains, but Jay Roy and Mekhi Wingo and all those guys inside, I am still questioning whether LSU has enough physical snot knockers on defense. These running backs, you can hit them at the line of scrimmage with that pad level, and they know how to run skinny. You know what that means, folks? You make your body as skinny as you can running through the hole, and if you don't wrap up, I'm seeing far too many blocks like this instead of the wrap up. Guys got to wrap up, bring them down, and, of course, the second and third man come in and strip.
Get that ball out.
And so interesting to be the other thing about the best defense, holding on to the football and keeping the football away. But if there was an over and under on 60 passes from Mississippi State Saturday, would you go over or under?
Absolutely over.
Yeah.
You got to go over. Yeah. So here is head coach Brian Kelly talking about the last weekend Southern came to town, but also looking forward to Mike Leach and that SEC opponent, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, this weekend. Here is head coach Brian Kelly. 13.
All right, good afternoon. Just to recap the past weekend, certainly, great to get back home in Tiger Stadium for me for the first time and for our team. Obviously, getting off to a fast start was absolutely crucial, given the way that, we kind of were sluggish. And I love the way our guys responded on the first first play, getting the ball loose on special teams, and then continuing with one of the best, if not the best, first quarter outputs in Tiger Stadium. Daniels has been really efficient. I think he's led scoring drives in 8 consecutive possessions. Defensively, played really well through 3 quarters. Thought maybe, our attention to detail lapsed a little bit late. And then special teams was outstanding with a block punt. Certainly did the things necessary in that area that we needed to tighten up as well. So a good victory, but now, we get into SEC competition and everything is heightened. All of the things that I just mentioned still have to occur, but our preparation has to be even better, more detailed. Playing Mississippi State, I have such great respect for Coach Leach, and obviously it starts with the offense. It is a precision offense. It is extremely well coached, and there is a level of, I would say, patience and persistence that you need on defense, because if you're trying to disrupt it in one fashion, there are answers that they have. And the answers are tried and true and tested. So, look, this is going to come down to our guys' attention to detail. They're going to have to tackle very, very well. This really puts the tenets of really good defensive football on display. You've got to be able to not only tackle, but be in really good positional awareness all day. Because again, this is a scheme that, in some instances, and I'm not here to compare it, across the board, but this is like triple option, right? The precision of the scheme, the way it is set up. If you are not taking care of your assignment and doing your job, you're going to get exposed. And they've had 2 quality wins against quality opponents. And, again, it's SEC competition against a outstanding offensive scheme. And defensively, this is a veteran defense. They've got a lot of juniors and seniors playing a 3-3-5 defense. They're salty. I mean, they've got some really good players. They play hard. They're well coached, well coordinated. They've got answers as well. Again, in terms of superlatives, just going back to the offense, Will Rogers, obviously leads the SEC in passing yards, but it's a high percentage offense, and he can make all the throws. I think from a defensive standpoint, the guy that stands out is Tyrus Wheat, obviously from right here in Louisiana. He's all over the field. He's from Amite, and I will say this, you're going to see him in a number of different positions, whether he's at linebacker, he can play a stand-up, he's going to be moved around, and obviously he's coming back home, and he is he's a guy that can wreck your day if you don't know where he is. So great challenge for our football team, one where we have to step up our play. It's exciting now that we get into SEC competition in terms of now we have to challenge ourselves in our preparation and get ready for a really quality opponent. So with that, we'll open up the questions.
Coach, Josh Sibley, One Team, One Pod. How much does it mean for the offense getting John Emery back this week, not only for the rushing game, but also for the passing game and helping out Jaden with the pass blocking?
Yeah, we're excited about getting John back, certainly, and I'm excited for him. It's been a long run for John in terms of getting a chance to, get out and play for LSU. He's worked hard to get back into this position. And now he gets an opportunity. Now let's be careful. Now he's been off for a while, so to put a lot of expectations on him in the first game. We certainly can't do that. We've got other backs that have done really well, but he will be part of the mix. And make no mistake about it, we've seen his capabilities in camp. We've kept him active within our rotation, so he's ready to play. And we did that with, obviously our mind eyes toward the SEC competition coming up. So we're excited to get him back.
Hey, Coach, when you're going up against their offense, how much does conditioning and substitutions play a role when they could throw it 50, 60 times?
Yeah, certainly that's part of it. The tempo will be, part of what we have to consider. But you're in a situation where, you're in nickel and dime a lot as well. So, and it is a hurry-up offense, but it's not something that we can't situational substitute out. And again, I think we're kind of used to it a little bit in terms of these guys are in pretty good shape. So we feel confident there. This is really going to be about getting the right players on the field. And we may look a little bit different from that perspective in terms of, getting guys that can play in space.
Brody Miller with The Athletic. First, just want to check, is B.J. Ojulari going to be available this week?
We expect him to be available, based upon my conversations with our doctors yesterday.
Thank you. And then, you've talked about Jaden Daniels kind of working on evaluating fronts, things like that. What challenge does the 3-3-5 kind of possibly present for him?
Yeah, it's really about, how and again, I'm just using words here, so don't take it too literal, but how the birds line up, right? I mean, it's a 3-3-5 defense, but they can move people around. So it's recognition of where those overloads come from and where those pressures, how you slide the front, how do we recognize, who are the five to block in the run game. And the 3-3-5 presents some of those problems. And, we'll have to do a great job of making it a little bit simpler. We think that a tight end helps in this situation where you can pick up an extra blocker in those situations to clean some things up. But I've gone against the 3-3-5 on many occasions, and it does present some unique challenges. It's very good against, a spread offense. Sometimes you look to do some other things against it as well.
Coach, two questions about the quarterbacks. What did Jaden Daniels do so well after looking at the tape? Moving the offense, command, whatever. And then just with Garrett Nussmeier, what are your thoughts and wants moving forward with him?
Well, I think you start with efficiency with Daniels. His ability to keep 8 drives alive consecutively and turn them into touchdowns, I think that's a great place to start. So, I think, there's still growth there, and he would tell you that if he was standing here. There's still growth and recognition, but he's so coachable. I think I mentioned this the last time we talked about him, is his demeanor when he comes to the sideline, extremely coachable, taking in information, talking to the box, talking to me on the sideline, where you can get him information and you can pick that up and move on to the next series. So I like that about him. Look, here's a guy with 3 years of starting experience, and you can sense and feel that when he comes to the sideline, that you can have that kind of dialogue. Look, I think we've all seen his ability to throw it and run, and he was confronted with opportunities on Saturday where he could have taken off, but for example, the touchdown to Besh, right, where he gets to the line of scrimmage and finds an open receiver and lets the ball go. If we can continue to see that, he becomes very difficult to contain. I'm sorry, yes. So, look, you never want to have a moment where you turn the ball over. And obviously we had a conversation with that. He's got to take care of the football, and he knows that. I mean, that's not anything that's something that he feels good about. But he did some really good things, and we have to build off of that. And I think he is somebody that when you're in that number 2 position, I'm not here to make excuses for him. You press a little bit, right? You want to, you have another quarterback who's led 8 consecutive touchdown drives. You're trying to press. You want to get on the field, and he doesn't need to do that. We have great confidence in him. He just needs to let the game come to him.
Brian in the middle. Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge.
You mentioned great respect for Mike Leach. As best I can tell, I don't think you have ever coached against him as a head coach.
I have not.
Do you have a personal relationship there at all? One, and then
I've
also,
known him for quite some time. Obviously, the tree that he's in have many acquaintances. I know him since the days that I was at Grand Valley State and he was at Iowa Wesleyan. You know, we shared a lot of common acquaintances in the business itself. So we've gotten a chance to know quite a bit about the offensive structures. And look, there's a lot of concepts that he's run that I was running about 25 years ago as well. So we have obviously run into each other many times along our careers.
if I could ask one follow-up also, this is kind of your first time through the league.
Yeah.
So what's it like for you trying to prep for maybe coaches and players and philosophies that you're learning for the first time?
The previous job I had, it was an independent schedule. So, it was somebody new each week in a sense, right? We had non-conference games every week. So it just feels normal, like, all right, this is a new opponent, but I was so used to having new opponents on the schedule. So it doesn't feel that much different for me in terms of the preparation. We have advanced scouting. Our advanced scouting does a really good job of coming up with, their personnel and their tendencies. And it's just a matter of, how we're going to attack, offensively and defensively. But it doesn't feel foreign to me from that perspective.
Coach Ed Daniels from New Orleans. As you try to build a program here, if you're able to win a game like this against a really good team on Saturday, does it send the confidence and believability meter up? Does that kind of accelerate the process if you're able to get something like that done on Saturday?
Every game that they play, our guys, is going to be an opportunity for growth. And you want that growth to happen through success, because success obviously breeds confidence, and confidence then is an accelerator in what you're doing, right? Everybody can move forward. Everybody tends to question themselves if the outcomes aren't right. So yes to your question, but we're not going into the game looking at it from that perspective. Really, I'm going into this game with the challenge of how we prepare differently this week we have to have a better week of preparation than we did last week, because the competition is keener and better. We have to get our guys to elevate that preparation level. That's what I'll be looking for. And if we get that, we'll play much better, and the outcome will probably be where we need it to be.
That was head football coach Brian Kelly talking about confidence and how success kind of breeds confidence, and confidence will carry the whole group. So, Bud, man, with the air raid coming in from the Mississippi State Bulldogs, some unique challenges, especially in that secondary. Not only getting substitutions in and off the field, but communication. And I feel like that's the big one. Communication has to be on point the entire game. The LSU did move around some guys in the secondary. You drop down Jay Ward from safety to nickel, and you bump up Greg Brooks to safety. So, but man, do you think that's a good move? How do you think it looked this past weekend? And in your opinion, I mean, are they going to have what it takes to stop this air raid?
Well, I think that certainly remains to be seen. Sevyn Banks is going to practice today and tomorrow. He is the grad transfer from Ohio State. That has a lot of potential, but he's been dinged up. They said he's about 90%, so they didn't want to really put him out the first two games. It will be interesting to see if he gets in the mix. Kobe Richardson did get dinged. I haven't had anybody mention it or ask about his health, but you hope that he's back. Mackay and Jarrett Bernard Converse, 2 and 24 on the outside. As you alluded to, Joe Fouché, 2 more games that supposedly is suspended because of the academics and transferring over from Arkansas. Only with LSU, it seemed like this stuff happens. But Poche is going to help them out. Major Burns leading this team in tackles, leading this team in tackle for losses. What does that say? When your safety has those kind of stats, it is problematic. Yep. But I think that, as we know, they've got to wrap up. They've got to put pressure. They've got to tackle in space. And they've got to make Will Rogers uncomfortable. And I think the LSU staff will be burning the midnight oil wee hours in the morning trying to come up with a game plan. We know how important this game is. It is a swing game. Look, I said they were going to be 4-0. So if they lose this game and meet Mexico's, that's 2-2. I got to walk around for 2 months with DA on my forehead because I'm a dummy. But this is pretty important. That, as you alluded to, communication, tackle, pressure, and play smart. Play with a little more P&V. Yeah. I want to see somebody, and Jay Ward has a tendency to throw his body at people instead of wrap up. But I want to see some hard hits. I want to see some vicious tackling, and of course that gets the crowd into the ball game. But as we know, you can draw it up all night long. And the crazy thing about college football, JP, as we found out last weekend, it doesn't matter if you spend millions in NIL. App State went in and stole one at Texas A&M. Marshall went in and stole one at Notre Dame. And a lot of people think the refs stole one from Texas to give Alabama. But what is it about Alabama knocking these starting quarterbacks out of the game when they play Texas? Had that kid not gotten hurt, I think they win that football game.
Ewers looked like the real deal to me. I mean, yeah, I agree. If he stays in the game, I think Alabama loses that game. It came down to a glaring hold call when Young had to escape out the side. So, look, talking about college football. So, Notre Dame, 44-6 in Brian Kelly's last 50 games. He leaves before the bowl game last season, 0-3 for Marcus Freeman. Not to, bash on Marcus Freeman. I like the coach. I wanted him to come to LSU when he was defensive coordinator under O. Don't tell me Coach Brian Kelly didn't have anything to do with that Notre Dame success. I mean, the guy is a winner, okay? Dropping that first game to Florida State, I think that kind of lit a fire. This is not – I don't like to call it a rebuilding process for LSU because there's talent on that team. This is kind of like just a building process. So, week 1 SEC, this is the question. You win, everybody's hype. We knew it was going to work. Coach Brian Kelly's got us. Yeah, we had to stumble out the gate, in the first half of Florida State. But no, the ship has been corrected. You lose week 1 of SEC to Mississippi State. They put up, 45 points on your defense. You have a whole different feeling about this staff, Coach Brian Kelly, where we are. So I'm not saying it's going to be, as Coach Payton used to call it, crisis or carnival. It's not going to be like, we're up here or we're in the gutter. But some LSU fans have been known to think that way, Budman.
Well, look, I'm going to disagree just slightly. I do think it's a rebuild. I mean, I'm just going to ask you, is there one All-SEC lineman on the offensive line?
This year or one that's potential?
This year.
No, there's not one this year.
Is there one defensive lineman that you feel like might make All-SEC?
There was one, but he got hurt in the first game celebrating.
Mason Smith and, of course, B.J. Ojulari has got to play like 18 can play. Still question marks at middle linebacker.
Yep.
And still tweaking the secondary. They've got players.
Yeah.
Are they physical enough? Do they have difference makers? We're going to find out some answers. But the great thing about it, by the way, Sunbelt Billy, all of our friends in Lafayette that watch us. Billy Napier was the toast of the town with the upset over Utah. Mm-hmm. They were dog at the Swamp. Guess what? They got handled by Kentucky. Yep. So a lot of upsets. You thought A&M was going to be great. They're typical. You thought that Florida was going to be a tough game. You just never know in this SEC anymore, JP.
We're going to take another quick break. We come back, we'll talk to Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com. We always enjoy our time with Mike. We'll take that break. Remind you guys, go check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. We keep all the shows archived on YouTube, so go through it, check out what you want to see. The Clarence Buggs Show, Tigers Roar, a whole lot more there on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. While you're there, go ahead and click subscribe so you know every time we post something new on YouTube. We come to you from 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, a great place to come check out if you haven't done so already. The Boss Hog Pulled Pork Sandwich, a great deal for lunch. Under $8, 2 sides and a drink. The sandwich is about this big. Good luck finishing it. Come check us out, Old School Barbecue at 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. You are watching Tigers Roar.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road, Gonzales.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi gang, Clarence Buggs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Buggs Show.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
At the Team Automotive Group, we're offering you the Team Guarantee on new and used vehicles. Included with every new vehicle is a lifetime limited powertrain warranty. And now, get a 90-day warranty on the purchase of a pre-owned vehicle. Get the Team Guarantee at every location of the Team Automotive Group.
And we continue here on Tigers Roar, a little Mexican standoff between me and the Bud Man right there. Don't worry about it. We bring in Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com. We love when Mike joins us here on Tigers Roar. Mike, good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm just, I'm ready to see LSU play an opponent this Saturday. I was on several shows yesterday, and I'm like, obviously, the first or second question is what improvement did you see from week 1 to week 2? And I don't know that you can draw any conclusions because of the lopsidedness between the two opponents, the two teams.
Yeah, Mike, you bring the Jaguars. It was kind of more about the pageantry and the offense before and after the games than it kind of was the 60 minutes in the game. You did have some bright spots. Jaden Daniels did look appreciably better. Special teams caused a turnover on a kickoff and a punt block. So there were some good, some bright spots, but I agree. Tough to get a good litmus test when you're facing a SWAC opponent. Me and Buddy kind of both agree that LSU has to establish that run game when Mike Leach and that air raid come to LSU this weekend, because you got to make your possessions count for some time.
Well, Mississippi State played two decent opponents. They went on the road out west with jet lag and everything else and took care of business. And I think it's going to be a very tough game this Saturday for LSU.
Mike, big recruiting weekend. If you could talk about the 5 stars and all of the big ones that are coming in this weekend. And also, Jay Johnson, Kim Mulkey, Matt McMahon, and, of course, LSU, all hosting recruits. Talk a little bit about the scuttlebutt and the feedback you got from last weekend. Look, JP, it was lit at the beginning of the game. The halftime show is something nobody will ever forget. But, Mike, tell us who's coming in, and it starts with Desmond Ricks, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I'm still working on getting a full list of who all is going to be there this weekend. But last weekend, of course, was fantastic. And, even though it was warm, it still was very festive. He had the quarterback from Florida that came in, from Jacksonville, Colin Hurley, and who I think is LSU's in great shape with right now. You mentioned Desmond Ricks, another kid from Florida that's coming in this weekend, and he's been at LSU multiple times already. So this staff is doing the work, getting recruits in. And a lot of them from out of state. The out-of-state kids who are coming in for unofficial visits on their own dime is very impressive.
Hey, what about the edge rusher, the 5-star, Colin Simmons? No, he came back again. And now some positive motivation about the big offensive lineman, DJ Chester. Who do you think LSU is picking up steam and momentum with right now, Mike?
Yeah, I like where LSU's at with Chester. And I don't know if he's going to be announced anytime soon, but, Colin Simmons from Duncanville, Texas, had a fantastic visit. I think LSU's where they need to be with him. He had his teammate with him, the defensive back that also had a fantastic visit. And then you had Kai Preen and Wallace Foster. And of course, Kavion Dodson is his teammate. Trey Holly had a fantastic visit. Darren Reed, the LSU commitment. So that's just some of it.
Yeah, and Mike, it's not just the football team that's using these games as recruiting visits. Other coaches are certainly taking advantage of the crowds and the atmosphere at game day on Saturdays, right?
Yeah, but look, they've got to win some SEC football games, and I think this is going to be a tough one this weekend.
Yeah.
Hey, what did you get from? I know LSU baseball got a big commitment yesterday, and they continue to recruit well. But Coach Mulkey, Coach McMahon, and all of the LSU coaches, positive vibes from the atmosphere. And where do you rank this first half and this atmosphere and this build-up? I know everybody kind of left and went to try to get home and fight the traffic in the second half. But where did you rank the start and the atmosphere before this puppy kicked off?
I thought it was pretty darn good. It was the equivalent of a lot of SEC games that we've seen in Tiger Stadium before. But when you jump on somebody and score that many touchdowns in the first quarter, there was 4 or 5 minutes left in the first quarter, and it felt like we had been there for a full half already. It just look. I don't know what I like the historic nature of the game, But I don't know that those type of games need to happen ever again.
JP and I were talking, and Mike, Coach Kelly addressed it with the injury to big number 0, Mason Smith. Mekhi Wingo's coming in and done a good job. Want to see more from Jay Roy, but after Roy and Wingo and a couple of other guys, man, did you realize LSU needs D tackles? And how many has Jamar Cain already gotten committed? I know he had 4 D linemen. How many of those are D tackles and how many of those are edge rushers that have committed already for this class?
Okay, now you got me going down the list and going line by line. Womack is an end. Reed, of course, is an interior lineman. Mickens is an outside guy. So that's a good question.
And one more, I think, that might be able to grow. JP, look, we talk about it. We've been talking about it for three seasons. Is LSU strong enough at the point of attack to not only hold their own, but guys, you got to remember, this is first SEC game. This is going to get brutal down the stretch. And so I think that's certainly an area that needs to be addressed moving forward. Agreed, Mike?
Yeah, and it's one of these deals where I'm really hoping to see Jaquelin Roy do something because he's been a non-factor so far. Jacoby Guillory, kind of similar. We got to see a little bit of Savion Jones, but I think Jamar Cain's really got to ramp up, just like the offensive line and what Brad Davis is doing. Jamar Cain really needs an overhaul of the entire defensive line because that so far, if you ask me what position is the biggest disappointment on the football team, it's defensive line.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Savion Jones was throwing people around like empty Coke cans. We'll see if he can have an impact. Mike, you mentioned a couple times about how tough this game looks on paper. What does Mississippi State do that LSU will have trouble controlling?
Well, they're going to go tempo and they're going to swing it around. And if you don't play assignment football and you're too predictable, they'll get the job done. And they're going to score some points.
Mike, with the first SEC opponent coming to LSU this weekend, how much would a win kind of move the needle in recruiting either way, with a win or a loss? Being it's the first SEC game for Coach Brian Kelly, but you get this one out under your belt, and you have a much better feeling heading into the rest of the season, no?
Yeah, I don't know that a win or a loss either way does anything to hurt or help recruiting. It's all about the relationships. It's all about your positions of need. It's NIL. It's facilities. And so, but the more often you get these kids on campus and you give Brian Kelly an opportunity to make his pitch to the parents, the better off you're going to be. And, regardless of how LSU finishes the season, I think the recruiting class is going to be securely right in the middle of the top 10. And I believe that. So we keep hearing the numbers 26 to 30. And but that could go to 31, 32, 33, depending on LSU's own attrition.
Got a message, Mike, to ask you about quarterbacks. Listen, here's how it plays out. And as we see Dak Prescott and others get hurt in the first game of the season in the NFL, Jaden Daniels, most people that I talk to, JP, probably wants to go pro after this year. That means Walker Howard and Nussmeier are battling, and Ricky Collins comes in. If Nuss loses a job, he leaves. Do they plan on signing another quarterback, or is that something that they'd address in the transfer portal?
I think that would be the scenario. I think they would look to the portal.
And people want to know about Nuss and Daniels. Obviously, what happened with Nuss? Is this something that they can fix?
Well, you just can't stand seeing stuff like that, and that was always the deal. We said you're going to get the bad with the good with Nussmeier, and I think what it really shows is all the stuff coming out of LSU that the race was super tight and could have went either way. I think that wasn't true at all. There's a big difference between Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier. The gap is not even close.
Speaking of that, JP, you got to have more than one running back and difference makers at running back. Mike Trey Holly, Caleb Jackson, obviously, are the two guys that are committed. Anybody else? Would they take a third running back? And the 26 to 31 that you were talking about, that's the number they're talking, even though they've got unlimited Scullies?
Well, yeah. I was told 26 to 30 regardless of being able to go to 85. But how much of that is the number that they're saying right now and not factoring in their own attrition that, that they don't know who might hit there this week versus 2 months from now.
Do they have a difference maker on this football team at running back?
I don't see it.
JP?
We'll see what Emory brings, what kind of shape he's in. We're not going to have too much expectations for week one. The guy's been off for over a year, but it kind of depends on how you use him. I mean, no, there's not a guy on there where you can just hand it to him 26, 27 times. He's going to go and eat up his yards, but there is talent in that room where you can do some things with guys. You spread them out, you throw them the football. Goodwin showed some promise in between the tackles, so we'll see what John Emery can kind of bring to the table. Hopefully, he's been keeping it in as good a shape as Coach Brian Kelly's kind of alluded to. Like I said, you don't put too much expectations on a kid coming off his first game in a year plus, but I have high expectations. The guy was supposed to explode a couple of years back. We saw what he did against Alabama 2 years ago, so he's obviously talented. He was highly recruited coming into LSU, so we'll see, bud, man.
Armani Goodwin, to me, is the X factor. They've got to get him more involved, Mike. And, look, you and I have had this discussion about Denbrock and Kelly. Do you think we see a little more of what we thought we'd see? JP, it's been pretty vanilla. Now, that particular ball game, it's hard to go up that big and not downsize what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But I want to see Booty get some opportunities. Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas is coming, the whole 9 yards. But what's Denbrock and Kelly going to do on offense to control the football and keep it away from Mississippi State and Will Rogers, Mike?
Well, I mean, that certainly that means if you want to play time possession game, you got to be able to run the football. And so Mississippi State's got a darn good defense. And we'll see if they can do that this weekend with John Emery. But like BK said yesterday, he hadn't played, and I don't think he wants people having crazy expectations for what they might see when Emery gets out there.
Yeah, a guy that got in the game against Southern and really put some great tape out there, Mike. I know you liked him coming out of high school. Emory Jones. Coach Kelly was really high on him in camp. He said he might be able to compete for one of those starting fives. What do you think after seeing him against Southern and the tape he put out there? Do you think that Emory Jones is going to push for one of those starting 5 spots?
I think so. We've all thought throughout the offseason that it was inevitable. At some point in the season, he's going to take a job. I think he's got a good chance. And I'm pretty darn convinced that he'd been a midterm graduate, he'd probably already be a starter.
I was just getting ready to ask you, Catholic High and some of the other teams that don't let their kids graduate early, is that something changeable, or is that locked in stone?
Well, I don't know. I didn't know that Catholic High does that. I'm unaware of that, because I think Schultz is going to be a midterm grad.
All right, Mike, if you could tell them what it means to be a member of Tiger Bait and all the perks.
Yeah, that's it. Go to tigerbait.com. Try us out for $1. Got multiple recruiting updates, including a huge breakdown in comments from a lot of the top recruits that were there on Saturday. Got an update on Kalaj Cobbins, the fantastic edge rusher from Destrehan for the class of 24. Everybody in the country wants him. And I've got some new film on Colin Jackson that we filmed Friday night, and a lot more at tigerbait.com.
And you also, and JP, we talked about this before the show, you also got all of the bands and the combo get together at the end of halftime. You've got that all on the YouTube channel.
That's it. It's all there. LSU Tigers on Tiger Bait.
Good stuff, my friend.
All right, buddy.
See you guys later.
Bye.
All right, and so it's kind of been that way for this show. Everybody's just kind of waiting for the switch to get flipped and everybody going to go. Look, generally speaking, I would agree with Mike and think this is a tough game to win. But you got to feel like if LSU is going to bring it, are the fans believing? Is this a Missouri crowd Saturday night, or is there going to be some confidence?
No, there's going to be some confidence. I think anytime you play Mississippi State Bulldogs, you're expecting all those annoying fans with the cowbell, so you want to bring your noise to kind of get them to be quiet early. So we'll see. You know, Coach Brian Kelly wants his team to start fast. They're going to need to start fast against Mississippi State. And not only start fast, they're going to have to hold that football. And it's going to be a tall task, both offense and defense. But Coach Kelly thinks that his group is up to the task, and it's all going to be about how they prepare this week at practice. The 3-3-5 does present some unique challenges to an offense, and they can kind of disguise where pressure's coming from. So Jaden Daniels has to be on top of his game at the line of scrimmage. That new look offensive front at the line, we'll see how they hold up when they go against what's his name, Wheat from how did Coach say it? Amite, Louisiana. I never knew it was Amite, but I mean, I've been saying Amite my whole life.
Well,
maybe Coach Kelly knows more than me.
No, he's getting acclimated, but he's got Kobe Richardson's name finally after being Dickerson. Look, you got to give him time to get acclimated to the traditions, the pronunciations, and all the idiosyncrasies that we have here. I will just tell the fan base that, first of all, let's hope and pray that LSU has had a come-to-Jesus meeting and get this thing put together. It's no longer the most intimidating stadium in the SEC. It's just not. Yeah. Tailgating has been diminished. They've got to get their act together, and they've got to make it fun to get them back in there and believing that they're going to have a good product both on and off the field. And that was a travesty on what happened, and that just you can't afford to have that happen again. Look, I know it's not easy, and I know they say they had this many hundreds of thousands of people out there, but there were some major faux pas on what they did with contraflow and all the other things that. So, you know, the last thing you want is to make it a pain in the butt to go to Tiger Stadium, and that is what it has evolved into in the last year or two.
Fix the traffic. LSU, Mississippi State, Saturday, Tiger Stadium, 5 p.m. kickoff. Catch it on ESPN. One more break of the afternoon. We'll come back, talk some NFL, some New Orleans Saints. Don't go anywhere. You are watching Tigers Roar.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
It's time to talk some NFL football here on Tigers Roar. Jonathan Poche, joined as always by the Bud man, Buddy Songy. The Saints were in Atlanta this weekend. Week 1 of the NFL kind of started off kind of wild. I liked it, Bud, man. All the rivalry games, week 1, I enjoyed it.
I am a puncher. No, I'm not big and strong enough to fight like Coach O used to be and do, but I punch. And so I was watching Saints play, Cincinnati play, and Burrow had a horrific game. Pick 6 right out of the gate, 4 INTs, lost a fumble. Cincinnati laid an egg, and wouldn't you know it, it comes down to a backup snapper who couldn't get the snap to where Cincinnati scored a touchdown, only needed a PAT to win, and couldn't get it done. Then on a field goal, the snap was so high, Holder puts it down, laces not turned, and so then he hooks a little 29-yarder. Invariably, Pittsburgh came in and stole one. But as I'm watching that, I'm going back to the Saints, and I'm thinking, okay, 28-3 is now equivalent to 26-10.
That's right.
Saints down 16.
Fourth quarter.
And we're griping about this and that. I would not want to live in the city of ATL. They are without a doubt the biggest choking city, sports-wise, in the whole United States, in my opinion.
Well, we do have some highlights from Saints versus Falcons. We'll ask AT in the truck to go ahead and start rolling those.
Atlanta.
And I'll tell you what, Bud, man, the game didn't start off bad for the Saints. Taysom Hill showed some things with his legs right here. He has a nice 57-plus yard run, and then ultimately takes it in himself a couple plays later. But picking up right where he left off, that's not a new play for the Saints. That's something they've done many times in the past. They have power with the quarterback, and right here you see Mark Ingram has a great block to right here free Taysom Hill for the touchdown. The Saints roster under Sean Payton, the whole locker room, so selfless. They all really enjoyed each other, liked to party, liked to celebrate with each other when they scored. You really see that continuing under Coach Dennis Allen.
Hill, to me, looks a little heavy. They've been having him play tight end. Of course, every now and then he's in the Wildcat formation, and this was great. But we know he is a tough-nosed son of a gun.
Now, these are just the Saints highlights from the game. The first half was not all that good for the Saints. It took a while for the offense to get in rhythm after Will Lutz missed a field goal. Here's the defense causing a turnover, getting the ball back for the Saints. But Will Lutz missed the field goal, and it kind of went sideways for the Saints there. The Falcons kind of built up a lead here, pick up the game. It's 23-10. Hand off to Kamara. He was one of his best runs of the evening. Really great with that balance right there from Kamara.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, of course, the Saints, as we know, Jameis Winston didn't look great, but all of a sudden him and Mike Thomas got on the same page. And once again, here it is making a big play and a takeaway. That's That's what you have to do, force a takeaway inside the red zone.
Both players in on that tackle were Tyrann Mathieu and Marcus May, two guys that are brand new to the team. This is their first year with the Saints, two safeties that they acquired in the offseason. A big turnover right there for the Saints. They kind of got some momentum building and just let Jameis start unleashing the ball. And it was raining in the second half of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, you start to see some of the athleticism, of course, Callaway and obviously Mike Thomas. I still am very high on Chris Olave, and as we know, Taysom Hill is going to be a big part of this offense. And number 5, Jarvis Landry, welcome home. A guy who everybody loves, Jarvis Juice Landry.
That's right. Juice came up big in this game, late in the game especially. Here's Michael Thomas, his first touchdown since 2020. Got to feel good for 13 right there. He's worked back into fighting shape. They tried to force him the ball early in this game, but he found his rhythm when it mattered, and he turned it on when the lights were on.
We didn't even know this guy was going to play until Tuesday last week, and all of a sudden he felt it and so happy, throws it up in the stadium. Oh, by the way, in case you missed it, Saints fans dancing at Walmart in Atlanta after this puppy.
His two-point conversion good to Olave. You see he's pumped up, too, walking around like Zion Williamson.
He can be a difference maker because he can flat out fly. They've got to figure out a way to get him vertical. But Jameis, I think, as you alluded to, with Thomas starting to feel it.
See, right there, they saw Jameis kind of run kind of awkwardly to the sidelines. He went under the blue tent. Whatever they gave Jameis under that blue tent, they need to sell it at Walmart for like $1,000.
Well, Andy was sitting there waiting, and we know how good Andy, the backup quarterback, of course, played in the preseason.
That was Drew Brees surgical right there with that throw from Jameis to Michael Thomas. I mean, that was peak Drew Brees style.
Did you draft Thomas in fantasy football?
I did not. My son did, though. Here's his second touchdown of the game. Jackson had a big game with Michael Thomas.
There
two
you
touchdowns.
go, Jackson.
And look, the entire team is so fired up for Mike. They're all flexing right there with him. And then Michael Thomas turned to Will Lutz. They have him on camera saying, hey, you're going to have to go win this game for me.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And look, I know you're going to have it in the highlights, but Jarvis Landry with an incredible catch and run
right
afterwards.
Here.
And here it is right
yards.
here, folks.
Yeah, 51 yards. Jameis unloads one. The only spot on the field that wasn't a problem. That's tough to do. 51 yards led to this weird rule analysis where they ruled Jarvis Landry out of bounds. The next play, Jameis Winston comes, spikes the ball. Since the clock wasn't running, it was a delay of game. They had to push Will Lutz back a little bit. 4th and 4 right there. You see he bangs it 50-plus. Will Lutz, welcome back.
Once again, folks, you cannot impress upon people how important the snapper, the holder, and the kicker is. Good to have Will Lutz back, even though he did miss one earlier in this game. This was a beauty, and seriously, back to Atlanta. I got cousins, I've got relatives that live over there. That's got to be frustrating to see how many times the city of Atlanta was so close but could not finish.
The game was not over yet. Of course, the refs tried to give Atlanta a chance. They called a late unsportsmanlike penalty on Marshawn Lattimore. But there you see Peyton Turner with the big block. Younghoe Koo, a very good kicker for the NFL. It was 64 yards. It would have been second for like the longest ever. So here we go. He gets blocked by Peyton Turner. Michael Thomas fired up. Arthur Smith is like, hey, what happened? We were up 26-10.
Dennis Allen with a debut. Of course, he did shut out Tampa Bay last year as the interim Saints head coach. And I don't know if that went on his record or not last year. I guess it did because Peyton was still the head coach at the time. But good debut. I think what I saw is the chemistry between Jarvis, Mike Thomas, Jameis, Olave. You can throw in 83 in the tight ends. Yep. I mean, look, they're going to have to win some football games, and they took over. But as we saw with Cade York, in case you missed it, 58-yarder. It could have been good from 68. And last night, if you watch Football 101, the new Broncos coach had a serious brain fart or two with the way he handled the end of that game.
So not only was it the end of the game, but how many delay of game penalties are on Russell Wilson? You do not see that out of that guy. They weren't even breaking the huddle till like 8 seconds left on the play clock. I was dumbfounded watching the Broncos, but it was a crazy week one. I mean, you look at the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Neither team could score a touchdown. Then you lose Dak. Just got all that guaranteed money after he got hurt. It's like Jerry Jones, man. That might have been a mistake. He didn't look good before he got hurt.
Well, you just hit the key problem with the Cowboys.
Yep.
And I heard a radio call of Jerry Jones, and look, we all know that at some point you just get too old to be in the limelight. And a lot of people are appreciative of what Jerry Jones has been.
Yep.
He has the most valuable franchise in all of sports. He has done many, many things in the world of sports, including a national championship, a world championship, and all of that. But JP, hearing him on the radio call today, or whenever I heard it, repeating himself, talking about Dak Prescott and maybe the injury's not as bad. At some point, they're going to have to, and of course, he's the man behind it, but I don't know if his sons, it looks like, and I don't know if you thought about this thing could unfold perfectly, and you know who might end up getting a chance to be the next Dallas Cowboys
Well,
coach.
I do not mind the draft pick compensation the Saints will receive for the Sean Payton hire. That looks inevitable at this point. Mike McCarthy,
but would he go work for Jerry?
With Sean Payton?
Yeah.
I think he would, yeah. I think him and Jerry have a long relationship. They kind of poke at each other a little bit, but I think that's out of fun. And look, Sean Payton's going to be the highest paid head coach when he comes back to coach those Dallas Cowboys. And the Saints are going to get at least one number one draft pick from it. So, look, Sean Payton wanted to move on. He's doing a little gig at Fox right now. I don't think anybody thinks that's going to last. And if the Cowboys start off 0-3, 0-4, I don't see McCartney making the bye week.
By the way, this week's opponent, JP,
the Bucks.
Boy, and Leonard Fournette, there were a lot of rumors about him coming in to camp at 260 pounds. I don't know what Leonard Fournette is weighing, but he is a big, strong man, had over 125 running.
Yep.
They utilized him. Of course, Gronk is not coming back, but Tampa Bay looked pretty good. And Tom Brady still can throw the football, although, look, the Saints have had their way with Tampa Bay, although, as we know, a couple of years ago, they beat them twice in the regular season, couldn't beat them in the playoffs.
That's right, and there's no more CD Deuce. We do have some turnover in the secondary for the Saints, but it's really going to start all up front. And the Saints haven't had a great pass rush, starting with number 94. The captain has to take some responsibility. He has not really been around the quarterback. Pete Warner led the team in tackles against the Falcons. He was all over the field. He seems undersized to me as a linebacker, especially with a guy like Cordell Patterson, who's just going to, lay the lumber every time he comes through the hole. The Saints had not let up a 100-yard rusher in over 20 games. It was the longest streak in the NFL. It was snapped. The first half did not go well for the Saints. But if you learned anything about that Saints team in week one, they do not give up. And when they get that momentum rolling, Jameis starts unleashing those deep balls. That is a scary offense that last year had to depend on the run and the defense. If Jameis can sling it around the field like he did at the last half of that fourth quarter, what team can stop this offense? I mean, you got Ingram and Kamara in the backfield, the wide receivers we all know, but if Jameis can just spread it around, it's going to be tough for teams to stop the Saints.
I like Mark Ingram wearing 22. He wore that at Bama. I think he was a better fit at 22. Jarvis changing from 80 to 5. Of course, the Honey Badger. How do you think he played in his debut with the Saints? Had his moments, but...
Had his moments. Was there on the strip right there with Mariota. You saw it on the highlights. Look, Cordell Patterson's a big man. Unfortunately, you did see Tyrann Mathieu get the worst end of that big man a couple times during that game. Still trying to work some things out, was getting over illness. He wasn't 100%. You could see it in his face. He wasn't the fired up, talking in your face Honey Badger that we're all used to seeing play on Sundays. But he'll work it out. You don't have to worry about 32. He's going to bring it each and every week. Demario Davis also still trying to get in shape. He didn't play a lot in the preseason. I think a lot of teams are struggling more with this 3 preseason game schedule than they want to admit. Russell Wilson was not in sync with anybody on his offense last night. And that's a completely new system, new players, new receivers, new coaches. I don't like how they did it to him week one, making him go back to Seattle. I didn't like that. I understand the Saints-Falcons rivalry games across the NFL, but making Russ go back to Seattle week one, he's still trying to figure out, how's this all going to work with his family and schools and everything else. Didn't like that. Didn't like it.
Well, nobody plays preseason, and so you get a lot of craziness in week one. LSU fans, you got to support your team and get out there. Once again, 5 o'clock start on ESPN. That is going to be a biggie. And, of course, the Saints in Tampa Bay. We hope the locals, along with the Jags, win all this week.
We certainly appreciate you tuning in to Tigers Roar. Check us out again next week. But until then, go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. Check out all the Tigers Roars that are archived there for your viewing pleasure. Certainly appreciate while you're there. Go ahead and click subscribe and click the bell so you get notified every time we post something new here at Tigers Roar and Pelican Broadcasting. For our floor director, Marty, and our director, Alan, in the truck, he's the Bud Man, Buddy Songy. I'm Jonathan Poche. We appreciate you watching Tigers Roar.